Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia. This is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hello, my sweet. This is really wonderful that you and I are together and doing this podcast in one place.
Yes, in one place.
Yeah. Instead of Huntley Brinkley, one in New York and one in Los Angeles.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a nice day outside. We also have my little niece, who shall remain nameless, getting frustrated because she's trying to open the door. And we told her that, hey, you can't open up that door.
And we're sitting out here in my daughter's backyard. Yesterday there were some deer running around. She also has a pet groundhog, Paxatoni Phil's cousin, who lives here in the backyard.
What's its name?
I don't know. I just call him Paxatoni Phil.
Paxatoni Phil. It's cute. So we were talking previously, we're trying to have a podcast episode about, I guess, what it had to do with failures.
Trips gone wrong.
Trips gone wrong, yeah.
But the irony about trips in general, unless you're going for business or or for a family simcha or chas v'shalom the opposite, we make our trips for vacations to relax, to have fun, to explore, and it is shocking, how much pressure and stress sometimes will go into these trips that go wrong. More times than not, where we face just the opposite of what we were looking for.
I think I remember one time going on a Chol Hamoed trip and Tati getting lost. We played this game where we got to choose to go left or to go right, because either way we were screwed. And we would say, go left, and you make a left-hand turn. And then we stop in the other part, go right, and we just go right. Eventually, I think we got to a gas station and we figured out what was going on, and we took out a map and we solved the problem.
You remember the day before GPS?
Yeah.
It was maps, it was getting lost, it was asking directions. Oh gosh, yeah.
That's what was actually funny. I was talking to Ruthie about this, where we were discussing the days of the infancy of GPS, or before then you had MapQuest, or on top of that, before then you had someone giving you directions and you had to write down the directions.
I remember those days. And I remember in New York how many times I would go on Mitzrayim.
Mm-hmm.
And I would call the rabbi or the people in charge of whatever Jewish institution it was, where me and some friends were doing, passing out Shabbos candles or holiday, paraphernalia. And they would tell us, oh, just take this road. It's very simple, that road. And all of a sudden we come to a fork and we're on the highway going 60 miles an hour, and they never told us about that fork. That was something they left out. It was oh my gosh. Well, which side do we take? So what I would do was I would just take my hands away from the wheel and say, okay, God, show me where.
That's the most dangerous thing I could think of. What the hell? But
believe it or not, it worked out.
Yeah, crapshoots. That's fantastic. I love how that works out.
I put my faith in the Eibishter.
Yeah. That's well. The problem with GPS in its infancy, the what's it called? I guess the scale that the GPS was at, you couldn't really determine how close were you to the next turn. And you couldn't really tell what was going on. So I would get lost, not as much as I would get lost regularly, but I still would get lost using the GPS.
Well, I've had that experience too, or I've had the experience where the GPS actually took us, way further than we would have really had to have gone. In fact, sometimes even now when I use my GPS, if I'm familiar with the route, but just need a little, when I say fine tuning,
mm-hmm.
and the GPS tells me, oh, go down here. I know darn well that GPS is taking me miles in the opposite direction. What's very common is when I'm in Florida, when I'm going to West Palm International,
mm-hmm.
Palm Beach International Airport. And for some reason, my GPS loves taking me south on Woolbright to to I-95, which is miles in the opposite direction. So I don't listen in that case. I just go on Boynton Beach Boulevard and I take it straight to I-95, which is much closer.
Yeah, I mean, that's why when I'm in Baltimore, they make you take, one road that has tons of lights. It takes forever, and then I just forget. I take a side road that I'm aware of. That's why GPS is there for knowing what's going on. But once you get more familiar with the area, then you start taking a little more chances. But we're talking about like road trips and things like that went awry. I'm trying to think of anything that I know of. I know I did road trips from Baltimore to Boynton Beach, Florida, a couple of times. It was a lot of fun. I fell in love with road trips that way. I did a road trip down to Floribama, which was like, we stopped by Nashville, we stopped by Tennessee, but then we went to it's the area where it's between Florida and Alabama.
Ooh, Panhandle.
What?
Is that where the Florida Panhandle is?
I guess.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of anything that, like, going on a trip. Oh, I don't think I've mentioned this in a podcast yet. I don't know if I ever said it in general. I went ahead and went to Amsterdam. And when I went to Amsterdam, I hung out with this Russian guy. And I gave him some of my stuff I got from Amsterdam. And he gave me some of his stuff from Amsterdam. And he showed me a quick little trick of how to really get the stuff going. And
what stuff are we talking about?
I think I mentioned this on a podcast, or I think I've said this before.
Is it marijuana?
Yeah.
It's legal there.
It's legal there. It's legal here in Maryland.
Uh-huh.
But no, I was basically I got totally wrecked, and I couldn't tell where I was going. But luckily, this like local Amsterdam guy was like there, and like he was able to help me, and like I was able to just barely get onto the airplane to go to Israel. Like I was just totally gone. But on the way back...
What type of stuff did he give you?
What happened was
it must have been laced with something?
No, it wasn't laced. What happened was he made he used hash, which is marijuana resin, which is a little more intense. And he also went ahead and made a water bong where he made the smoke really tense. And then you take like this really intense, like a lot of smoke, and then you take the whole thing in. And it hits you really hard, really quick.
Ouch.
And I was just I just had a small J that I was just like smoking here and there, just a little bit, and walking around Amsterdam, just like enjoying the sights, just having a nice, good buzz. And he just totally wrecked me. And I was like, oh my God, I was totally gone. But I got into Israel and it was fine. I got there on time. I made like random conversations with strangers, which I love doing. Ruthie hates it when I do that. She can't stand it when I talk to strangers. Because I get it, but like for me, it's like I don't know. I think of like everyone's different. Everyone has a story, and once you get to know somebody, they have their story. It's very interesting to discover.
That's one of the things I like about traveling, is that you do. Of course, you got to be careful who you talk to. But
no, that's for sure.
But you can meet some very interesting people while you're traveling.
Yeah. No, that's why I like, talking to people. And in Israel, it's a lot easier to have conversations with people. I think there was this vibe when I was there of like, there's a lot of camaraderie, and you could always talk to someone and speak to somebody, especially if you're like if you're ever at a tourist spot outside of America, and then you see another American. There's definitely another camaraderie that kind of kicks in.
Yes.
We're like, you feel like, oh, hey, we're both Americans. We hang out. We talk. We would chat. Like we would have this whole conversation.
Well, I think every nationality feels that way. That's why when you go to Israel, you actually have Russian communities. You have American communities, and in the history of the United States, when the immigrants came here, the immigrants formed their own neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You had the Italian neighborhood, German neighborhood, Polish neighborhood. Yeah.
Did you ever have hang out with Irish or Italian neighborhoods when you were growing up?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I was in Baltimore especially, is very famous for their ethnic neighborhoods. And I remember when I was in high school, I dated a boy who was Greek.
Oh wow! Okay.
And
what was his name?
Constantine Demos.
Constantine Demos. Okay.
Yeah, his real Greek name was Kostas.
Kostas. Okay.
But I liked Constantine. I thought Constantine sounded a lot more artsy.
Oh, okay.
His English name was Constantine. Yeah.
Oh, so nice.
Oh, I got teased about that all the time
really?
by my teachers. They knew my boyfriend's name was Constantine, and they used to tease me sometimes.
What would they say?
Well, one time I fell asleep in physics class.
Yeah.
And the physics teacher, next thing I know, the physics teacher's standing over me, and she's saying to the class, she's snoring. I think I'll tell Constantine.
How was that relationship? How'd it go?
Well, obviously, I married your father, didn't I? Who was not Constantine. So you can.
I'm not half Greek. I get that, but how did it go as a teenager? I know how mine.
It was one of these teenage romances.
Oh, I love you. We'll be together forever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, what happened? How could you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He eventually he broke up with me on my on the night of my senior prom. He broke up.
Oh, senior prom? Yeah,
senior
broken
prom
up.
Night he broke up with me. Oh God.
Who'd you go out with for senior prom after that, or you just didn't go?
No, that was my senior prom. That was my senior prom. I invited him. He went to another school.
Oh, okay. So did you go alone on your senior prom?
No, this was the night of my senior prom.
I know.
It was the end of the evening.
Oh, at the end of your prom.
Yeah.
Oh, not before.
No, he broke with me, but he dropped me off home.
Oh God. Oh, that's horrible. Was it more of like, I'm going to college, you're going to college, we're not going to really go see each other?
Yeah, it was a kind of thing like that. And
okay, it's not terrible.
He had taken a very intense summer job. He was an usher at a movie theater.
Uh-huh.
And he had wanted, as a result, he'd wanted to be an actor. He took acting in high school. And he, as an usher in a movie theater, he knew every single line of every single movie backwards and forwards. And I think also one of the problems was, so he knew that coming summer, he would not have time to date at all. He was working like 7 days a week.
Oh, okay.
And that was part of it. I think another part was he knew my parents did not approve of him because he was not Jewish. But what's so interesting about him being Greek Orthodox is I remember one time him calling me up on Christmas and he says, "Is today Christmas?" And I go, "No, it's not." And he goes, "Next week is Christmas, right?" "Yes, next week is Christmas."
Oh, because they held 12 days later, right? Something like that?
They celebrate their holidays a week later.
A week later,
in the Greek Orthodox Church. Yeah.
I met some Greek. This one Greek girl when I was in college. We hung out. We were friends. Nothing came of anything. We were just hung out.
But what was so interesting is when he took me out, he did not feel comfortable going to any places in the Northwest Baltimore area. I guess because he wasn't that familiar with it. So he would right away on our dates he would take me to his neighborhood, which was around. It was right around the old Memorial Stadium.
It's still there. It's Greek town. It's still around. Still popping.
Mm-hmm. And we would go to this one restaurant called Pecori's, which was his favorite restaurant. And we would usually, hang around there, go to movies or go, places right around that area.
How long did you guys date for? Like a year?
Yeah, almost like
wow.
my senior year. And as a matter of fact, when I was at my sister's graduation at Towson, the way I met him was that my sister was friends with his sister.
Oh.
And his sister had a party, and my sister was invited, and she said she could bring along she invited my sister to bring me along, and that's when I was introduced to her brother, we were the same age, and love at first sight, and we were dancing to the music and having a great time.
What songs?
At the party. I heard it through the grapevine.
Really?
Marvin Gaye. That was one of our favorites.
Heard it through the grapevine. Yeah. Honey, yeah. Be my baby.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
So anyway, that year I was at my sister's graduation with my parents, and his parents and his grandmother were sitting right behind us, and his mother recognized me, and she was really nice. She said to me, "Hi." She goes, "Don't you recognize me?" I said, "No." She goes, I'm Costas' mother." I go, "Oh, Mrs. Demas, how nice to meet you." And anyway, so his father came over. His father introduced himself to my father, and they shook hands. They got along really well. So I guess it's something about the Ukrainian culture and the Greek culture, the Jewish culture and the Greek culture.
It's very similar.
It is very similar.
It's a Mediterranean kind of culture.
Right. Very tight families, very warm. And so anyway.
A lot of grape leaves.
So the great mother,
got you going.
The grandmother sees my parents, and my parents, have this olive complexion and dark black hair. She got excited. She thought they were either Greek or Italian. And her face just lit up, and the mother says to the grandmother, "You know who this is? This is Costas' friend." And so she gets really excited, and then her mother says to her again, "Remember Costas' friend?"
Oh.
And the mother, talk about the cold shoulder. The grandmother all of a sudden just gives me a dirty look and sits down and will not come near me.
Oh gosh, well, that happened to you a couple of times. Well, your mother as well. Back in the day with the Italian, we talked about that on a previous episode.
Yeah, my mother did not like my interdating. Yeah, no.
Oh no! I'm talking about when I was talking about when your mother was a secretary during World War II.
Oh, that
and
lady
the Italian
in the
woman,
office. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Gave her the cold shoulder when she found out she was Jewish.
Yeah.
Yes.
So back to your. Before we were talking about your Greek social life.
Trip's gone wrong. Senior prom's going wrong. Trip's gone wrong.
Trip's gone wrong. Either way, something happened. Something went down. So I'm trying to think of any.
Remember the guy I was telling you about when my trip to Israel?
Who?
Okay. When I go to Israel. We did this before. Okay.
No, we didn't talk about this. We talked about this story over the phone. And I said it'd be a good story to talk about.
Yeah, no, when I'm talking about my trip, my regular trip, the whole thing about my trip to Israel, that was supposed to be on a kibbutz.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, so what happened was, I was supposed to be on a kibbutz. I get there, I go to the kibbutz office that El Al sent me to, gave me the address, and I come there and they said, "We don't know who you are, goodbye." And I said, "What?" I said, "But the man in the El Al office said he was going to send my name ahead, and you were going to place me on a kibbutz." And they said, "No." He said, "Oh, we don't have your name. We don't know who you are, and goodbye." So I leave the office, and I'm going, oh, my God. I'm thinking about all those miles of Atlantic Ocean between me and my loving family, and here I'm in a foreign country, not knowing anything. So I surveyed my situation, eventually decided that in the youth hostel where I had stayed the night before, I had seen a sign saying, help wanted in the kitchen, free room and board.
Yeah.
So I said, fine, that's what I'm going to do for the time being until I figure out what I'm going to do as far as, Israel's concerned. And, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. So I took the job. And one morning I'm eating breakfast and I'm sitting next to this young man. He was wearing a yarmulke and sits and, had a small beard and not something intense from like Satmar or Baba.
He was modern Orthodox.
Yeah,
that's
kind
it.
of more modern
Yeshivish,
Orthodox.
modern Orthodox. That's
Right.
usually that's what people say. That's what people say nowadays.
So anyway, we were just making small talk, and he asked me what I was doing here in Israel. And I told him about what happened to me, and now I'm stuck here in Israel. Not stuck, I shouldn't say stuck, but I'm working here to kind of talk to people, figure out where's the best place to go, what I'm going to do. So he tells me his story was that evidently someone had arranged a shidduch with him and this girl in Israel, some shafchana, and he had come here to Israel to meet her. He said, in fact, when I was in the duty-free shop in the airport, I bought her this really nice big, bottle of expensive perfume. And he says he gets here to meet her, goes to her house to be told, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but in the time it took you between, coming here to Israel, I met somebody else and we're getting married."
Yeah, that's.
And so he's like,
that sounds like an intro to a great rom-com or something. A good rom-com would start like that.
"What's a rom-com?"
Romantic comedy, like any Katherine Heigl movie.
So we were kind of like, so I said, "So what are you going to do?" He says, I'm going to stay here for about a month. He says, and my ticket was for a month. And he says, I'm just going to, go around. I'll, go to places in Tel Aviv. I'll go to Yerushalayim. He's just going to go to the regular, touristy places.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think, I think when I was in Israel, at one time, I took Yosef to go to Egypt and Jordan. And it was fun. It was just a little nerve-wracking. And I've talked about this before on this podcast about how I had to put on my tefillin carefully to make sure no one saw me and things like that. And just being in Jordan or in Egypt, I had to be careful because for me it's more of I was in Jordan because I took a flight through Air Jordan to get to Israel, and I was stopping over. It was a layover in Oman. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to go ahead and put out my tefillin there because I don't know what they're going to say, think, or do, and what they might. And turns out they probably would have done something because I think it was this year or last year there was a guy who was in Jordan, a Jewish guy, and they saw his tefillin and they cut up his tefillin.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
It wasn't so much of the damage, the physical costly damage, because it was maybe $50 worth of damage, maybe cutting up the straps. You can get them restrapped. It's fine. But it's the fact that they did it.
Was this a crowd, or was this people? This was the people at the airport.
This was the TSA of Jordan. Air Jordan.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it was a whole thing, which is where like.
How did you hide your tefillin then, so they wouldn't see it?
I use it as a carry-on. I just didn't take it out.
Okay.
Explained to them that the religious phylacteries or whatnot, or they looked at it and they didn't see a problem with it, and that was fine. I just didn't take it out.
Okay.
You know, I think there's sometimes people get a little brazen, which is good or not good, but they get brazen. They go ahead, they take out their tefillin wherever, and sometimes, you know, it makes sense. Other times it doesn't. Like I put on my tefillin. I told the story before on the podcast. I don't want to repeat it too much. I feel like we're talking about a lot of stuff we've already said on the podcast. But whatever. I had my tefillin on. I was in a public place. People thought it was a bomb, and I had to get the police to discuss it. And luckily, my siblings were there to help resolve the issue.
Where were you? They thought it was a bomb. Where was this?
This was like right after 9/11.
Oh my God.
Like a year or two after 9/11, and I was on a bus to New York.
Oh no. New York. That's surprising because you would think...
It was a Chinese bus station.
Oh, I remember the Chinese bus. That was the cheapest. Yeah, that was usually the cheapest.
Yeah, the cheapest.
I remember.
It cost like what, $15, $10 at the time to go there. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like anything else, like any road trips we went on. I know when we used to go to New York a lot. You know, we had this thing as a kid. I wouldn't really say, you know, are we there yet? I would just ask, like, how many miles are there left, or how many hours are left?
Well, I get that sometimes when I'm giving piano lessons. How much more time do we have? And I say, you should be having so much fun, you shouldn't even care about the time.
Which shows to your detriment as a teacher. I'm gonna say, yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything. I don't really have anything in the pocket about that. But
irony, though, about traveling, especially foreign travel, is, like I say, you're traveling most of the time, unless it's for like some other whatever reason, you're traveling basically for fun. But it's ironic how stressful how stressful traveling can be, even though you're doing it for what's supposed to be a fun, relaxing reason.
Well, I was traveling to Israel one time, and I had my knapsack, and I unfortunately didn't check my knapsack, and I had a switchblade in there.
Ooh.
And they went through it, and the switchblade was there, and my face went white, and they're like, "Don't worry, just like we'll take this switchblade from you. Just get your stuff and bounce, because if not, they're gonna go ahead and put you under arrest." So I got my stuff. I was able to bounce and get on the airplane. But that's why afterwards I always double, triple check, making sure what I'm carrying and why I'm carrying it. Because, that can really get messed up. But I don't know. I think traveling has gotten easier. I think the TSA has gotten more efficient.
I noticed that I had oral surgery and I was coming up north to visit your brother, and I needed to bring this this bottle of this prescription mouthwash that you're supposed to use after oral surgery. And ordinarily in the past they would have said no, they wouldn't have permitted it. This time they were very nice. They took it out and they put it under some sort of computerized thing, and they said okay, and put it back in my suitcase and said it was all right.
Awesome. Yeah, it's slowly dying off. It just, I don't know. I
think also that the technology is getting, how can I say it, is improving.
Yeah.
That so they can discern these things much better. Like now they're permitting, I think, 3 ounces or less of liquid now you can take. But I had the experience once of pretty recently where they something on the sensor was ringing off, and they had to take the suitcase. They had to take me to a back room, and they went all through my suitcase, and they kept, putting the sensor back on, and it kept ringing off. And these were young ladies at TSA, and they actually started almost like crying. They were saying, "You're such a nice lady. We know you're not a criminal. You're not smuggling anything, but we can't understand why the sensor keeps ringing off." And they kept apologizing. So finally they said, "Let's bring in the supervisor." Supervisor comes in, says to them, "Give me another sensor, a new one that's still in the plastic." They bring her this sensor that was still, she takes off the plastic, she puts it around my suitcase. Everything was fine. She said it was the sensor. There's something on it that's dirty.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any issues I had with security besides that one little story. I don't. Oh, I mean, I had one time when I was coming back from Egypt. I was getting really tired of being patted down by the Israeli police because they look at my name, they look at my face, and with my name is actually can be interpreted as an Egyptian Arabic name, and so I don't really look Yemenite, so they have to ask me questions, they have to pat me down, they have to do this, that, and the other, and I was like really tired because we traveled from Egypt, we went to Jordan, we went to Egypt. And we were coming back finally from Israel, and I was just so frustrated that, of course, they patted me down, and I was like, I was in the mood to goof off, and I was in the mood to mess with them too. So they pulled me over, and she said, "Please move to the side and pat me down." I'm like, "You want to pat me down? Pat me down." And I start taking off my clothes, and I basically went down to my boxers, and I said, "You want to search me? Go ahead and search me," because I was just sick of it. And then like,
was this a female guard or a male guard?
It was a female guard.
She was going to pat you down?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was this. We were leaving. We're going into Egypt. We're going in from Egypt to Israel via Eilat.
Now, I don't think this is the strange thing. I don't think most men would complain about a pretty young female guard patting them down.
It wasn't about the female guard patting me down. It was the fact that like I was like, even though I could have been okay with it and let it go, I was kind of tired of feeling like I was maybe just constantly going through security. And Yosef wasn't. But my little brother was not going through security issues. I was the only one going through security issues. And I knew why, because of the way I looked. And also being in Egypt and being in Jordan and being outside in the hot sun, I do build up a very strong tan. And like I was speaking a little Arabic to the Egyptian and Jordanian security. And that's what actually got me into, we got like half off for the Egyptian visa, and we got a free visa to Jordan for like 6 months. Because I spoke to them in a little bit of Arabic, and I was like just talking to them and showed them my ID. I didn't say anything else. They looked at my ID and they saw my name, and like that was the rule that we had with me and Yosef. It's like I speak to the Egyptian or Jordanian ones, and Yosef speaks to the Israelis. And Yosef spoke to the Israelis, and even then it wasn't helpful. And like, I don't know, I think I wasn't as upset as people thought I was. I was just kind of bored and thought it'd be funny.
You're probably very tired too.
I was also very tired. We were traveling a lot and not getting a lot of sleep. And because
yeah, that's nothing about traveling. I mean, you're traveling for fun, but it's true. You do not get much sleep because I find that when I travel, especially foreign countries, there's this urge to, even though you're tired, hey, I'm here in a foreign country. I've got only a limited time here. I'm spending all this money. I want to see stuff. Well, I just don't want to sleep. I want to see stuff.
Well, we went to Egypt literally like 2 weeks before the original Arab Spring. So like the environment was very strong. You felt tensions. It wasn't something that like you had to be careful. So we explored the pyramids, we explored the museum, and then we had to go home. So we really had and we went to this place that did oils. We went to this place that did papyrus. You know, it was really cool. I spent some money and paid for these oils. I still have some. I used a lot of it over time, but I still have some oils from Egypt. And what's funny was they give you like these vials, these big vials in like a nice velvet case, and they wrap it up and give it to you. When you look at that through an X-ray machine, it looks like it's some kind of bomb of some sort, some kind of explosive. So when I was going from Israel to America, I had that in my suitcase, and it went through, and the Israeli security guard, she said, "Open up your suitcase right now." I said, "Okay." And I opened it up, and I tried to explain to her. She's like, "I don't care," because the problem is it also smelled like gasoline. So she was like really pissed off, and she looked at it, and she's like, "What is this? What's going on?" I'm like, "It's perfume. I purchased it from Egypt. Here's my paperwork." And she opened it up, and she's like, "Ugh, it smells disgusting. You dumb American got ripped off." And then like,
You might have. It might have been gasoline.
No, it
flying
wasn't.
in
It wasn't
that
actually. It wasn't. It what happened for some reason. The way the box was handled smelled like gasoline, but each vial was definitely had pure. It was. What happened was one was like
What kind of oil was it?
we had mint oil. That was one. Papyrus was another. We had a few other oils that like were really cool.
What do you use them for? Like
I use them for
hands or
cologne.
something?
You use it for cologne. I made some cologne. What you do is you take rubbing alcohol, and then you mix it with the oils, and you shake it up, and you spray it, and then therefore you have cologne or perfume, whatever you want to call it.
Sounds nice.
It's really cool. I had a lot of it. I used a lot of it when I was younger.
Does it smell like musk, like that musk perfume?
Yes, some is like some was musk, some was like whatever. It depends. It was really cool. I liked it. I didn't get ripped off. I was very happy with the money that I spent on it. I think I spent maybe about $75 for oils from Egypt. But here's the thing: you buy essential oils, like a small thing of essential oils that maybe is about like 1 or 2 inches high. That's like $10. We had a big vial this big, like a handful big and really handful high. That would be a lot more. Single wise would be $100. I got 4 vials for $75. So it was a good deal. It was a good deal. I enjoyed it. I used almost all of it. I still have some left just because it's special. I don't want to use it all.
So she finally let you guys go?
Yeah, it was fine. It was okay. She was being pissy. The thing people have to know about the Israeli police, they're just pissy, but it's really not that big of a deal. Like if you're innocent, it's fine. They come off strong. And I think that was the thing that bothered me. Now that I'm looking back, that's what bothered me a lot with the security was they gave me a lot of attitude.
Well, what they do is, I've heard from people that have been involved in this profession that they purposely do that they do profiling, and they purposely do that to see, are you starting to sweat? Do you look nervous? If they see you sweating profusely, or after they do this to you, then they have a hunch that, hey, something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you stay fairly calm and you're not sweating and you don't look like you're getting nervous, if you're acting like a little irritated, but you're not, like I said, sweating and getting very nervous, then they know you're just a typical that you're just an ordinary honest person, that you're not some sort of terrorist.
No, I understand, but there's also the Israeli attitude that comes into it. You can't deny that. That's just there.
That's interesting. The tough is, I guess they have to be tough.
No, I get it. It's just you attract more bees with honey kind of thing. But I understand. I'm just being I had this whole conversation with Ruthie last night. I act like Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm sometimes. I can get very particular and very complainy and bitchy about stupid shit. Like at one point I was complaining because I hate being told to ask for a donation every time I purchase an item at a supermarket. It's kind of annoying. I don't like it. It's kind of frustrating. But she was poking fun at me and calling me ridiculous, and don't worry about it. But I'm trying to think of other stuff when it comes to traveling.
Then there was the cab when I was in Israel. They used to tell us that when you take a cab, you should try to get familiar with the route before you take a cab, because there are cab drivers, I'm sure not just in Israel but all over, that will purposely take a roundabout route so they can charge you more.
Well, what's more so is that I noticed taxis in Baltimore, that taxis go super slow, because the longer they have you there, the higher they can just rack up the minutes. And it's just like, whatever, it's a ripoff. That's why Uber came in and totally reframed the whole system.
Let the free market reign.
Yeah.
Yep. When I was in Panama, when I was leaving the canal, I had called an Uber, and I'm walking, and they have these cab drivers that hang around the touristy areas like bees. What can I say? And one particular was nudging me to take his cab, and I said to him, I explained to him, no, I said I called my Uber and I'm waiting for my Uber. No, thank you. And I'm standing where the Uber's supposed to pick me up, and I'm on the phone with my Uber driver. I'm looking at the car and everything. So standing in front of me was this this from family, husband, wife, and like 4 kids or something, and they see this little red car pull up, and the father says to the mother, I think that Uber's too small for us. I was sitting right next to him. I said, that's because that's mine. And I spoke to them for a while. They were from New York. And, like I told you before, Panama, wow. The Jewish population, the Jewish tourism there is tremendous. Everybody knows each other. New York, Baltimore, whatever, And so I took this Uber. Uber, by the way, in Panama is very, very economical.
We've talked about that in the previous one. You're in Panama. I mean, that's kind of why I like traveling in Jewish environments, because you definitely feel there's a little better camaraderie. I remember being in Israel when I was there for the 2 years in yeshiva. I had so much fun, and I just enjoyed the moments just being with people like me. Because because in America, it's like, it's not, you have your synagogue, you have your school, but in general, you are alone. This isn't your home. This isn't your place. And you feel that. And when you're in Israel, you definitely feel home. You definitely feel like there's a place that you can finally breathe.
I felt, even though when I was in Israel, I wasn't religious, there was something about the land that I just felt at home there.
Yeah.
I felt like grounded. You know what I mean? Roots, I guess.
Roots, I guess roots.
But the funny thing was, when I was in Yerushalayim, I wanted to see, of course, the Kotel. I didn't know where it was, but I decided just to walk. Just to walk until I found it. And, I found it automatically.
It's funny.
And as I was walking through the streets of Yerushalayim, I said, this looks so familiar. I'd never been there in my life. And I was able to find exactly where the Kotel was.
It's funny you say that, because when I was in Israel, I did not know where I was going, what I was doing, and I wound up walking right in front of the Kotel.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on. It was Friday. It was Friday afternoon. I got in Friday morning. I had some time to go exploring, and I just started exploring. I had no idea where to go, and I was just walking around the old city, and I was just following people and just like doing whatever. And that's the first thing that I saw and visited, like randomly. Like I know there was nothing, no like real thought process of, I'm going to go to the Kotel. I just didn't see that. And I don't know if Chabad does this, but in yeshivish environment, if you see the Kotel, you're supposed to tear your clothes first.
Really, I didn't know.
Yeah, if it's your first time seeing the Kotel, or it's first time seeing the Kotel in like 30 days or a year.
Well, let's put it this way: the first time I went to Israel, the shmatas that I was wearing
probably got ripped up anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did tear my clothing when I was there, because I remembered that, and then I was told that Chabad doesn't do that. But it was a lot of fun. Honestly, that part of my life, I would say, like, it was such a relief from just being in yeshiva for 13 hours a day for like 9 months of the year for 4 years straight, and finally going to a place where like you actually decided to be, and the rules were logical, and they cared about you, and they wanted you to grow, and you're able to feel like you could finally just start breathing. And that's why I really loved CRC. I really loved my time in Israel, and I would just tell anybody when they have a chance just to go there. If they have a chance to go there for yeshiva or for seminary, go there, and go there as long as you can before you have to leave.
Well, maybe one day soon we will all be there.
Someday we will all be together, sheltered and warm. Yeah. Well, I know when Mashiach comes, it'll be a whole different story, which is I always find so interesting, the concept of like, when Mashiach comes, like it's gonna be such a whiplash if you think about it.
Well, what's so interesting? I remember one time in junior high school, there were all these predictions about doomsday theories and all these horrible things they were predicting, like World War III was going to happen between the United States and Russia, and they were predicting all these things. And I remember this boy in my class, none of us were religious, but this boy, a couple of the Jewish kids in my class saying, don't worry, we'll all be in Israel by that time. Even among the non-religious Jews, we all had that feeling that, don't worry, we're all going to be in Israel by that time.
Yeah. It's nice. All right, Emma. I love you. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
You too.
And we'll touch base.
Kisses.
Kisses. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please comment and subscribe on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Instagram. I would greatly appreciate it, and my mother would too.